I think Curtis Connor is a bad stand-up comedian. Now, I want to point this out. I saw Python and I paid on his Patreon to see the other stand-up specials. So I have seen now 2 stand-up specials, and I have a few, let's say, notes. More so, I'm using him as a pivot to talk about safe comedians, because Curtis Connor is what I would consider a safe comedian. But I'm going to lose my citizenship to Curtis Town because I'm going to be a little bit mean, a little bit crass, a little bit not nice. I have a new microphone. I hope you enjoy. So let's talk about Curtis Connor for a second here. Curtis Connor, I think, is a master architect, but only in the world where he controls the weather. He has to control everything. His natural habitat is editing. He's a master editor. He's a kingdom where time is clay and silence is a weapon. He can sharpen it to a lethal point. His YouTube comedy is a Swiss watch. Every cut, every zoomed, every perfectly timed reaction is a gear and a magnificent laughing machine. Stand-up is a storm, right? You can guess with stand-up, you can write a script, but it's a storm. It's live weather. There is no undo, no second take, no cutaway to a cringing TikTok to do the heavy lifting. On stage, his jokes don't detonate. They politely introduce themselves. It's not that even his material is weak, because the topics he covers, the things about his jokes, I don't want to spoil anything, it's just there's so much dead air. There's so much nothingness to what he says. There's too much fluff in a lot of his things, and you can't really judge it off of Python alone. I believe his paid Patreon stand-up is significantly better than his Python special. I think his superpower is total environmental control, right? It's been confiscated. He has to be raw, uneditable. He has to be that, and his presence is polite, right? Curtis has the voice of your smartest, funniest friend explaining a meme to you. It's warm, inviting, perfectly calibrated for the intimate, one-sided conversation of a YouTube video. He speaks like a YouTuber. Stand-up isn't a conversation. It's a confrontation. It demands a voice that isn't just delivering lines, but it's carving them into the room so everybody can pick up on what you're saying. You have to walk in and say, I have a penis like a tube of tennis balls. Like, you have to speak in a way that people can digest the words. He doesn't do that. It needs a cadence that builds tension, a rhythm that swells and breaks, a personality that feels more like a character than a companion. Curtis's delivery doesn't pierce. It just pats you on the back. It doesn't provoke. It just tells you you're doing good. He has the comedic voice of, a weighted blanket. It's deeply comforting. But you can't kill with a weighted blanket. That's why you say this comedian killed. He crushed it. Words that insinuate violence in some capacity, but not towards the audience, towards the atmosphere. You can only make the audience feel safe. And safety is the anesthetic of comedy. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. His genius online, right, is so brilliant, right? He's amazing. He points to the exhibit, the weirdos, the cringe, the unhinged comments, and his commentary is the hilarious placard that makes sense of the chaos. I feel the same way about him that I do Danny Gonzalez, because they're in this trifecta where I think Drew Gooden would be the funniest of the three, because he is the one that actually, I believe, knows comedy beats. And it's no dig at the other two. It's just I think one is significantly better at the style of comedy that works for actual comedians. And it sucks to say that because they're all really good. They're very good, right? Because he's left on stage with nothing but his own words. And suddenly we see that his jokes were often the frame and not the painting, right? The punchlines don't do anything. It feels like they're waiting for the visual cue that never comes, the reaction sauce that will sell the bit. Without the absurdity of the outside world to play against, his observations feel as if they're just well-crafted sentences and search for a reason to exist. He is a brilliant reactor, forced to become a pure actor. And the stage lights reveal the wild difference. It's so strange to witness, because great comedy isn't about being offensive. It's about being honest. There is a joke in Python, and I don't want to misquote it, where he's talking about he thinks children should have leashes, and he says this really good bit. It's a really good joke. It's a very good joke, but it's not funny. He says, oh, when the kid breaks his leg, we got to put the kid down because the kid's on a leash, but the dog isn't on a leash, which is conceptually a very good joke. The way he delivers it just sucks. Because honesty is good. Honesty is inherently risky and uncomfortable. That's how it is. It's about leaning into the awkward, the vulnerable, the morally ambiguous parts of being human. Kurtis has built an empire on being a good dude TM. He is a kind, morally sound, and reliably on the right side of an issue. That is what he is. This is a wonderful quality in a human, but it's a creative cage for a comedian. Most comedians that are phenomenal are often controversial in some ways, and his material never ventures into the messy, the contradictory, or the shadowy parts of his own psyche. It feels as if he's not talking about himself in a lot of his comedy. He doesn't take us to the edge of an uncomfortable truth or force us to look over. He is very Jerry Seinfeld, but less funny somehow. It's insane to say that, because I love Kurtis, but I think he's better at YouTube by a wide metric mile. He just points at things from a safe distance, makes a wholesome comment, and moves on. He glides across the surface of human experience when comedy demands you dive into the murky depths. That's how it is. And what sucks is that I noticed this. I know he doesn't feel confident when he does his thing, because stand-up at its best is a striptease of the soul. It requires the comedian to stand naked emotionally, showing us their insecurities, their hypocrisies, their petty jealousies, their unspoken thoughts. Kurtis's stage persona is wearing a full suit of armor, polished by brand deals and community guidelines. There is no vulnerability, no sense of danger, no glimpse of the man behind the meticulously curated funny nice guy brand. He's so terrified of showing us a flawed thought that he gives us near no thoughts at all, only polished pre-approved observations. He is a fortress, and comedians are ruins. They are just ruins of an old civilization. I think the worst part is that what I was noticing throughout the entirety of it is that comedy is an art of the surprise attack. That's how it works. Letterkenny does this phenomenally. Comedy is a surprise attack. The laugh comes from the twist you didn't see coming, the subversion of expectation, the verbal swerve. That's how comedy is built. Kurtis follows like a GPS route. You can see the destination from miles away. The setups are telegraphed. The punchlines land exactly where you expect. And the premises are so safe they feel focus groups. This isn't a failure of joke writing. I think it's a failure of daring, because conceptually, it's a good joke. It is a very good joke. For instance, let's say my brother, for example. My brother would be what I would consider a trans-inclusionary misogynist. That's how he operates as a human being. I brought up my friend one day. My friend is a trans man. My brother comes in and says, "Hey, you got a coochie?" That's what he said just immediately. "You got a coochie, right?" My friend said, "Well, yes, but I identify as a man." So, identify as a man. I identify as a black man. You can be a black man too. Say the N-word right now. Say it. Say it twice so I can hear it twice. So twice, say it nice. You gotta say it twice, because I gotta work twice as hard for half as much, so I gotta hear it twice to hear it one time. That's a wild, crazy joke. It's a wild joke. It's nuts. It's psychotic, and it's a situation that happened, and it's me being vulnerable about a member of my family. And you don't have to have jokes in that variety. You don't have to do that. You don't. Everybody has a different style of comedy, but it's a branch of comedy that he has. It's safe. He is so committed to not offending, not confusing, not challenging his audience that he removes the very element of surprise that makes comedy thrilling. You don't gasp, you nod. And nodding is the sound of comedy dying politely in its sleep. And I'm not talking about edgy, by the way. A lot of people say, "Oh, you just want to be edgy." No, it's not about being cruel or shock jock or vulgar. The edge in comedy is the sharp line of a unique perspective, the jagged honesty of a personal flaw, the uncomfortable truth wielded with precision. It's commitment to a bit that might fail. It's the courage to be unlikable for a punchline. Kurtis's comedy is none of that. Its every point is sanded down. It's round. It's a comedy designed not to stick in your ribs, but to go down smooth and be forgotten by the next sip. He's a good guy telling good jokes, and good is the enemy of great. That's how I feel. Great comedy makes you feel something. Unease, shock, recognition, catharsis. Finally, he said it. Kurtis's comedy makes you feel fine. Fine. And it sucks because I think I want to point this out. I don't want this to be an attack against Kurtis. He is a phenomenal digital content creator trapped in the body of a middling stand-up comic, is what it is. His special is a testament to his mastery of the wrong medium. He is funny, but his funniness is conditional on the tools of his trade, the edit, the visual aid, the context of online absurdity. Strip that away and you're left with a competent joke teller who prioritizes being inoffensive above being unforgettable. He doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and that ultimately is what hurts his comedy. Because the greatest comedians aren't afraid to make you uncomfortable, to make you think, to make you question, or even to make you briefly dislike them. All Kurtis seems to want to do is make you like him. That's it. That's the entirety of his comedy. It feels strange. And I want to point this out. This is going to be a different rant. People don't know what I mean when I say safe comedian, right? It's about people that are sanitizing their performance. Because the comedians aren't just telling bad jokes. They're performing a ritual of avoidance. So I can't say that. I get canceled. I do that. They step on a stage not as these explorers of the human condition, which is what I believe a comedian is, but as ambassadors from a land where every feeling is pre-approved and every observation has been run through a compliance filter. That is disgusting. That is not comedy. You can see it. You can see it too. The great lies that these performers tell themselves is that inoffensive is synonymous with good. But true comedic craft has nothing to do with offense and everything to do with truth. It's honesty. That is how it is. It's the willingness to point at the invisible elephant in the room and describe its ridiculous posture. It's the courage to take a mundane reality, the soul-crushing bureaucracy of a customer service call, the quiet despair of a suburban cul-de-sac, the unspoken rules of elevator etiquette. So I was in an elevator one day, and you describe the absurdity of, I didn't want to hold open door for him, but I had to because the guy was looking at me with such tearful eyes. You get a customer service call, and they complain to you. You're working at customer service, you explain that call, you explain it with such wildness, and this goober, this absolute gooble-schmeck, something of that for do that. You mine it for the profound, ridiculous humanity buried within. URC is skimming. Safe comedians skim. They are surface dwellers terrified of the depths, offering commentary that does nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's no goodness in comment. That's why I hate a lot of I'm in the commentary space of YouTube, but I hate a lot of commentators because they regurgitate the same exact points as everyone else, and it is so boring. The sheer cranial emptying boredom. It's a special kind of torture to watch someone under lights and systematically drain all potential energy from a room. This isn't comedy. It's not. And I was seeing the people laugh and all this other stuff, and I was thinking to myself, there's no friction, no spark, no danger. This is nothing. Who are these people? Do people really find this funny? I think they find him likable, which is different than finding him funny, which is different. It's ridiculous. It's this desire to be liked is poison to all art. If you get applause, that is not connection, right? It's generic validation from a crowd that feels comfortable. I enjoy that uncomfortableness. That is what makes art truly stand out. That's what shapes us. I feel as though if you plugged his comedy into ChatGPT, you would get the same exact jokes that he did. It doesn't require you to be a villain. It requires you to be a point of view. It demands you take a stance, even a flawed one. It thrives in the messy, contradictory, and often ugly business of being alive. A safe comedian has sterilized themselves of all this fertile soil. They have declawed the tiger of their own perspective and wonder why it no longer hunts. They stand on stage perfectly pleasant, utterly inoffensive, and professionally boring, leaving their audience exactly as they found them, unmoved, unchanged, and already forgetting the sound of their voice. They are not comedians, they are ambient noise. I think that's the greatest sin a performer can commit, is to be forgotten. Anyways, those are my thoughts about Kurtis Conner. I don't hate Kurtis Conner. I just think that was some of the worst comedy I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, thank you so much. Let me know your thoughts about Kurtis Conner's comedy. I'm out. Peace. Bye.
I'm your Nick and Night, be my Laurel Angelo. Ooh, happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. Ooh, I love the ride when you're free.